So now here's part two, right? Why do you need to build this momentum, right? Why do you need to build momentum to make a change? Uh, it's important that people build momentum by implementing new things, right, or venturing into new things, and they do it slowly, right? So you start off with all the small things, and then you ramp it up to all the big things, basically. So I implemented the gym routine, so I broke that, right? Reason why is because you tend to get from a mental state and from a mindset perspective, right? You tend to get locked into a routine. So if, for example, at the time confusion entered my routine and I was constantly thinking about it, I needed to make sure that what I was getting used to, what my brain and what my body was getting used to, into thinking about whether or not I should go to do the masters or not. I just remember that the repetitiveness and that chore-like feeling was getting the better of me. So I had to break that, and in order to break that, I needed to change something in my routine. So the gym was the first, right? I'd always gone to the gym, like even in the past, even whilst at uni, but probably you tend to go out drinking and things like that, so it always gets pushed aside, and you normally try to hang out with your friends, right? But then afterwards, I took gym pretty seriously, and with Kilimanjaro, took it even more seriously. So we actually started training, which was incredible. And guess what? I got to the top, and it definitely wasn't easy. In fact, some of us in the group were challenged in one way or another. It was pretty crazy. But for those of you that actually haven't been to Kilimanjaro, I'd highly recommend it, especially if you want to try something new and if you want to challenge. Anyway, guys, my decision to take up the masters, well, I connected my rush from the mountain to that, essentially. So I created like a link between those two, and I just felt like I can do anything, right? And I literally got primed from getting to the top. It was incredible, because the risk that was associated with climbing the mountain, I just felt, you know, who knows what could have happened on that mountain, right? So it triggered me, and that gave me more. It enabled me to take on more risk, right? I wanted to take on more risk, and it actually triggered me to go ahead and say, okay, well, let's go ahead and do this, right? Basically, no more what ifs, and that's where things started snowballing. I literally killed it, guys. I took over the work ethic and the momentum I built up from my tech consultant years, and also from getting a high of climbing Kilimanjaro. I literally started making things happen for me. I remember at the end of it, it was I just couldn't believe it. You know, I graduated with a first. Which is top class, and then on top of that, I was the top performer across the whole of the digital marketing course, which is incredible. Either way, I was surprised about that, and I'm not bragging here, right? I'm just saying that the routine I had going during my master's years I just carried it over. Literally, it's still going to the gym, still implementing that, but my routine had none of that confusion in there. It never had any negativity. It was pure positive, just positive mood throughout, and I managed to actually kill it, right? To the point where I actually had a module where I had to do a project for a business and provide them with a growth marketing strategy for one of their products that they got on the line. And based on that, I killed it, and they offered me a job right after I presented that strategy for them, because they wanted me to work for them. And I took the job, and I actually thought that this was it, right? I've that's it. I made it. I've made it. I've caught up from that time where I was questioning, I was questioning my job, and questioning, should I even go back to do a master's, and now I'm back and I've got a job, and that's it. I've made it. I don't need to. I've caught up. That's it. Things got too comfortable, and there were problems here. There were problems in that role, right? So, for example, and that was mainly down to resources, but you know, uh, long story short, I was basically happy to leave the role. So when I split off, right, I also reflected on that. It wasn't just down to resources. The main problem was, I think, I was also naive, right? I came across Gary Vee, right, a highly known marketer, and I came across one of his videos one evening, and he helped me realize of some of the bad habits I actually got into after graduating and getting that job. I remember I was consuming the wrong content, and I didn't really learn at the same pace. I didn't put in the same effort. I got comfortable, and I wasn't owning my decision to make a change. And I think that's key, right? You need to own the decision when you want to make a change. So you need to make sure that you've built that solid foundation. So obviously I had started, but the fight, right, that war wasn't over yet. I still needed to make sure I got to the other side. So after that role, I decided to change things up, right? I decided to turn things around. I basically changed my habits again, and I broke the routine, which is, again, you can probably see the pattern here. So I broke the routine. In my free time, I started consuming the right content, right? And in marketing, a lot of you guys know, if you're in marketing, you know that you should be consuming the right content, because to be in digital marketing, or just marketing overall, you need to be with the cutting edge, right? You need to be innovative, you need to be implementing and testing, you need to be evaluating at all causes, and also finding new ways to grow a business, or to grow businesses. And I actually went the extra mile by learning marketing strategies and tactics, and then becoming more proactive with what I was learning, in the sense that I started to test and actually implement where I can and when I can. And even from there, I went the extra mile by I started speaking to a few different business owners in different niches, and that too voluntarily, so that I can actually help them find new ways of marketing themselves in order to grow more, right? And this also actually helped me put things into more practice and put things into more perspective. I basically got to understand exactly whether what I was learning, was it of use, and how powerful were the strategies that I was learning were, right? Like, how powerful were they? From there, I went even further. I actually decided to apply for an internship role for around 6 months, which was basically free. And the reason why I did that is because you tend to have no obligation when something's free, right? And I really wanted to manage the department overall. So what I did was I put myself forward for it as a way of being able to actually test and implement these strategies in a more professional setting. And I got to do that for the entire marketing and social media department, since I was managing that as well. And that actually led me to getting a head of marketing role, where I'm actually tasked, and the main aim of that is to actually go ahead and find a new way of growth hacking the business. So it's incredible, the journey so far, right? But I remember I just kept pushing and pushing, and I think the main thing and the main result was, in the end, I managed to push and break through, even though I made that mistake at the foot, and tripped up for a second. But I pulled through, pulled back, so made a change within my routine, made a change and disrupted my pattern, make sure I changed a couple of the habits, and then also pulled through and started to focus again. Because one thing I realized, and like I mentioned before, is that it's all about continuous learning and consistency. You have to continuously put in the effort. And the result of that is, I enjoy it, and that's exactly what matters to me. So that's why I thought I'd share this sort of experience, because there might be others out there who are looking to see what it could be like on the other side, providing you actually keep at it, providing you actually take the risk or make the change, or even just weigh out your options, right? Initially, if you're at the very beginning of just researching and planning. So the question I always some people might ask me as well is that, should I have actually made that change and put myself through all that uncertainty, throughout all that risk? And I would actually say, yeah, I should have. In fact, I would do it. I would do it again. And if I was to summarize it for people out there, the principles of what I've actually learned from this process, and what I actually would give, is the fact that there were four main steps, right, that I took. And that was to make sure that it was always about research and planning at the start, to make sure that you confirm, whatever it is that you have an interest in, or whatever it is that you want to actually get involved in. And then from there, you want to also make a change, right, within when you want to make a change, but from a small scale to then moving to a large scale. So you want to make sure you break your regular pattern, break your routine, just so you can get a different perspective. And so that within a different routine, you're able to then generate new types of thoughts. Otherwise, you're only thinking more linearly. That's something that a lot of people actually find, right? Like they have this tunnel vision, this narrow focus, just because they've been doing something for a long time. And I think to broaden that horizon of opportunity, and to also understand how much scope there is, it's important for you to sit back and actually break the routine, and then assess and get a new perspective on things. The next thing is, once you've implemented those small things to large things, you'll be gaining momentum. So you want to get that snowball effect, and then from there, it's about adding another layer on top, which is the mindset, right? To make sure that you don't get phased. You're not unbreakable almost, right? Your focus isn't can't be broken that easily, and I think that's key, right? You need to make sure you remain focused and you remain consistent, and the final thing is that when you stay focused and you are consistent and you get in that pattern, right, where you're just completely knocking every ball out the park, right, to get to that end goal, and to implement that major change, you need to be able to take the risk wholly on your shoulders and own it, right? So yeah, lean on other people and find find people that are doing something similar, and support yourselves within one another. But in terms of the decisions you made, you need to own it, and you need to make sure you reflect on that at every single point to understand, if I did go wrong, where did I go wrong? And I think reflection is definitely a key skill that you should be using consistently and more often, so that it can help you implement the change. Ultimately, you have to make sure that you make it happen, especially if other people are talking about it. You need to prepare to have the mindset to put yourself through it in the first place, right? And to stay consistent and not be fazed by what anyone else is doing or saying, and make sure that you actually stay focused. If you know that you've already hit some key milestones, it's going well, just don't get phased or don't lose concentration, just keep at it. My example was that at one point, right, I thought it was all over. I tripped over that rock at one point, but then what I did was I got back up and I just kept running. And the more I kept running uphill, the more I kept trying, the more I found ways to actually jump over the next rock, right? So I always avoid it the next time, and that's how you grow as a person. You simply move, or even after you've achieved one goal, you simply move on to the next. It's all a continuous experience, right? You've got to constantly ask yourself, what's next? And that's the biggest question in any field. Even people who are enjoying their current field, right? They should constantly be asking themselves, what's next? So guys, you can take any of these principles away, right, and put them towards anything, of course adapting them to the certain just to adjust your certain context and circumstances, but it's still it's continuous experimentation, right? It's testing, it's implementing, it's evaluating, and it's a continuous cycle as well, right? So don't say no straight away. Maybe dip your toes into something, so that you can actually understand what it's like, and then go ahead and make a decision. Don't just right off the bat say yes or no. It's good practice. Anyway, guys, I hope me sharing my experience just now has helped you find more clarity in what you're doing. I hope it's helped you improve your processes and help you find different ways on how you can make an impact. If you have any questions, guys, or if you want me to discuss anything in particular, you can just drop a comment below. Otherwise, you can reach out to me on growthvertical.com or on my Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, which you can find the links to below. I appreciate you all listening to me, and thanks for all the feedback. I mean, it's been amazing so far. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Otherwise, leave a like, and see you soon. Take care.